Hello, fans and followers of Forever Man. Welcome to video number 3. Today, I've decided to talk about Sons of Adam, the song, both lyrically, musically, and about how both of those things affect the characters of Will and Jack. I haven't really planned this out. I don't know how this talk is going to go, but, stay with me, go for the ride, and we'll see where it takes us. So before this song happens, this is in Act 1. This song is it's really the next song we hear after Home. There's a scene before this with Jack and Will in the lab as we learn that Will has been he's been searching for this elixir of immortality for a while now. He's been searching for something that could slow or stop the aging process. Now, in the original version of the show, Will accidentally discovers this just almost by pure chance. He's trying to save this rat's life, and one of the tonics he ends up creating turns out to make it immortal. But I felt like the stakes weren't as high for him then. So if we make it something that he has wanted for a long time, and then to finally find it, it makes much more sense that he's going to want to drink it immediately, because he's been thinking about it for a long time. Also, in the original version of the show, it was Jack who convinces Will to drink the elixir. I changed that in this version of the show because I wanted to really establish the fact that Will has always had the upper hand in this relationship, that Will is the boss. Jack was a street urchin, basically, who Will took home one day, and Will's family ended up taking him in, and they raised the boys together. So they've been living together since probably they were about 10 years old. So I really wanted to establish the fact that Jack is somehow subordinate to Will. And so by having Will convince Jack that it's a good idea to drink this, it changes the trajectory of the entire rest of the show and gives Jack a real reason to have some pretty hardcore resentments built up towards Will. So anyway, that's where their characters kind of are at the beginning of this song. So what was before, if you listen to the song on YouTube, you'll hear Jack sing, "What we achieve with eternity, we'll think it through." So now it's just flip-flopped, and Will sings it, "What we'd achieve with eternity, Jack, think it through. Think of all the miraculous things we could do." Right? Makes sense. So with a change of one word, we basically end up, and some pronouns here and there, we flip-flop the whole song and switch their roles, which is really, really interesting, and it affects the entirety of the rest of the show. Very, very cool, and I was very excited when I figured that out. So now, let's just talk for a little bit about the music. How does this start, and why is it written the way it's written? Well, if you listen to the first verse, it's kind of impossible to tap your foot to. It's not in, for musicians out there, it's not in 4/4 or 3/4 or 6/8 or anything. It's kind of an amalgam of a whole bunch of different meters. What I did was, I knew what the musical theme I wanted was this sound. It's like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, something like that. So which would be like 9/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? Ba, 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 ba. And so what I decided to do was write the rest of the lyric for that verse, and then see how that fit in metrically. Because what I wanted to do was create a feeling of excitement and uncertainty. So if I had written this in something like 4/4, like what we'd achieve with eternity, Jack, like Bob, it wouldn't have the same feel. So I wanted it to be a little bit unpredictable because even though their choice is inevitable, I wanted them not to know what choice they were going to make, and to have that be reflected in the music underneath them. So you can't. It's this kind of flowing phrase. What we'd achieve with eternity, Jack, think it through. Think of all the miraculous things we could do with unlimited time in our grasp. So it's not something that you can really tangibly tap your foot to or anything. It's just kind of a long phrase, like they themselves don't know where it's going, kind of a thing. And then Jack reciprocates that same phrase. Forever is a concept that neither of us understands. It's always been in the realm of the gods. Look what man's curiosity's done in the past. Now, what I've done here is grasp at the end of the first verse and past in the end of the second is an imperfect rhyme, right? Like past and last would have been a perfect rhyme, but because of Jack's uncertainty and Jack's subordination to Will's character, I didn't want him to have a perfect rhyme there. He rarely perfectly rhymes in this show. A lot of Jack's rhymes are imperfect. For that reason, is that I just felt like it was an important part of his character that Will's the brainiac, Will's the thinker, so Will's gonna rhyme perfectly almost every single time, whereas Jack doesn't. And also by putting the internal rhymes, you'll notice in the second, in Jack's phrase, forever's a concept that neither of us understands. It's always been in the realm of the gods. Look what man's curiosity's done. By putting the internal rhyme there and not having it on, not bookending it, but putting it inside within the phrase, it gives that it gives the whole thing a feeling of moving forward, because especially since the linking word man's connects two different metric phrases together. That neither of us understands. It's always been in the realm of the gods. Look what man's curiosity's done in the past. Right, the phrase needs to go on. So by having that internal rhyme there, it makes that phrase feel like it needs to continue. So that's why lyrically I did what I did. And then Jack sings about Adam and Eve. They were immortal until they saw fit to approach a forbidden tree and eat of it. I don't know if we should. I must be sure. And then Will sings, where is it written? Oh, I'll play it for you. Where is it written that we shouldn't try to climb out this well of mortality? Jack, where's the crime? Our intentions are good, our motives pure. Right? So by telling Jack that their intentions are good, he's hoping to convince Jack to drink this. And he says, maybe our deed could be well justified, biblical precedents all set aside. If we don't think of cheating the grave, just think of the people we'll save. Right? So he's trying to allay Jack's fears a little bit. And both of those couplets are perfect rhymes. Justified, set aside, cheating the grave, people we'll save. Right? So Will has the perfect rhymes. And then he sings, sons of Adam driven from me. Now, sons of Adam, where did that phrase come from? I don't really know where that phrase came from. That was actually a musical, it was a musical idea first. It was this. Like, that was my musical idea. Da-dee-da-da-da-da-dee-da-da. So I wanted it to sound somewhat heroic, you know, because in Will's mind, this is a heroic thing that he's doing. This is a great thing that they're going to do. And so I thought, all right, well, they've already been talking biblically for a little while here, right? It's all about cheating death, playing God, and the concerns therein were biblical concerns, at least for Jack. So I thought, well, we should have the chorus be something biblical as well. And what would that be? Like, what could that possibly be? Well, we talked about Adam and Eve, right? And Adam was the first man, and so they would feel that they're descended from him, right? So in effect, they're sons of Adam. So I thought, wow, that's kind of it's a really cool phrase. Sons of Adam? That's pretty neat. And it fits perfectly with the melody I had written. Sons of Adam, da-da-dee-da-da. Then I had that da-da-dee-da-da, that little, so we have the antecedent phrase, we call it, the one that comes before, which is sons of Adam. And then the consequent phrase, da-da-dee-da-da, right? And so what happened to the sons of Adam? Well, they were driven from Eden, weren't they? I mean, that's what happened when Eve ate the fruit and convinced Adam to, and it's also very interesting that, in effect, what Eve was convincing Adam to do is the very same thing that, or similar to what Will is trying to convince Jack to do. So there's another parallel just in that biblical story. So that became sons of Adam driven from Eden, right? So now, sons of Adam driven from Eden needed something great to believe in, and now Will brings the scope of this whole thing out and says humanity needs us. Like, here's this big, huge idea, right? It's not just like, I want to drink this because I want to live forever. His idea is humanity needs us. We'll answer the call, right? We'll answer the call. Now, in his mind, he's going to make up for Adam's mistake, right? And make up for Adam's great fall. So not only is this the right thing to do, but this will right thousands and thousands of years of wrongs. We're going to make up for Adam's great fall from grace, right? By doing this, we right all those wrongs. Interesting. So that's where that idea came from. And then Jack tries to bring him back. Think of the ramifications of this single act. You have nothing to nullify or counteract what that vial will do to your life. Single act and counteract is an identity. It's not a true rhyme. Again, Jack's not perfectly rhyming here. And Will says, I cannot do this alone. That much is true. If I drink it, then you must drink it too. Okay? Perfect rhyme. And he's also telling Jack, look, if I do this, you're on the boat with me. Whereas before, it was Will saying, you cannot do this alone, this much is true. If you drink it, then I must drink it too. The stakes aren't as high that way. It makes much more sense for him to say, if I do this, then buddy, you're coming with me. All right? Because that gives him the power in the relationship, which has consequences later on in the show. And then Jack sings, no turning back. If we do it, the deed will be done. The first day of eternity will have begun. Son of Adam, how long will you last? And then we get the rest of the song. And we'll live on forever, endless as the sea. So slowly but surely, Jack is convinced that this is the right thing to do. Debatable whether he's doing it because he thinks it's the right thing to do, or is he doing it for Will, because he knows that if Will does this, I mean, he would need somebody to live with him forever. I mean, to live alone all that time, it's kind of a scary thought. So personally, my personal feeling is that Jack really does this for Will. He doesn't do it because he believes it's the right thing to do. The other aspect of this is that Will's grown up very privileged his whole life. So Will has seen all the greatest parts of life. So for him, living forever would be, at least at this point, seems like a wonderful thing. We're just going to extend the amazing things that life has to offer. Whereas Jack, who grew up on the streets, has seen the ugly side of life. And for him, I don't think he really can understand Will's point of view. It's like, I've seen the horrible things. Why would you want to extend that? Like, why would you want to put no limits on that kind of a life? So I think I think Jack really does this for Will. But there's this whole idea of we're brothers tonight. It comes at the end of the chorus, right? As sons of Adam, we're brothers tonight. So there's this whole idea of that doing this is going to make them closer. And it will really cement them as brothers, whereas maybe before they weren't because they're not related by blood. This, in effect, will force them. It will relate them. They'll be related by the bonds of immortality, and they'll be brothers in this. So that's Sons of Adam, a quick discussion. I hope you enjoyed that. I will do more. I'll do more songs. Let me know how you feel about this video. If you find these discussions at all interesting, I've gone on now for 13 minutes and 20 seconds. So I apologize for the length, but I hope it was interesting. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.